So welcome everybody to Heal Wellness and Therapy Therapeutic Yoga class. Today we are going to be starting class in standing. What you will need for class today is a chair without arms. So a stool can also work if you only need the seated part and your balance is good. However, if you've got some challenges with your balance, I do encourage you to use a chair so that when we do the things in standing that we're going to be doing to focus on our hip flexors, you'll have it to be able to hold on to if you feel like your balance is not so good. The second thing that we will need for class, once we're laying down on our mat, is a yoga strap or a belt. We're going to be looping our foot, laying on our belly. So what I would encourage you to do if you have a yoga strap or a belt is simply take the yoga strap or belt and let it come through it one time, or your belt loop one time, so that you've got yourself a little lasso. Because what you're then going to do is lasso your foot to be able to stretch your one hip flexor that's a little bit more difficult to stretch. So once you have your lasso made with your belt or your strap, go ahead and just place it down next to your mat so it will be ready for you when we go on our floor. If you have really good flexibility through your quadricep muscles, you may not need the strap, but it's always nice to kind of have it just in case of. All right, so before we get started in standing today, here is our little lesson today on the hip flexors. All right, so you can all see that screen in front of you. I'm going to highlight several things about our hip flexors. So we have 4 hip flexors in our body on both sides of our body. We have our psoas muscle, which is this muscle right here. Our psoas muscle is the muscle of our hip flexors that attaches to our spine. So it is the reason it's so important to stretch your hip flexors if you've been doing a lot of sitting, because if it gets really short and tight, it's going to start to create issues in your low back. Simply put, the main motion that the psoas muscle does to the hip is simply flex the hip. Now, our second muscle is also in conjunction with the psoas. It is called the iliacus muscle. So the iliacus muscle sits very deep in your pelvis. It joins with the psoas tendon to attach to your leg bone on the inside. So really deep on the inside of your leg bone, it attaches. Just like the psoas muscle, it simply performs flexion of your hip. It is often a muscle that is very tight if you do a lot of sitting and your activity of choice is cycling. The third hip flexor that we're going to highlight today is what is called your rectus femoris. Now, it's a little bit of a tricky hip flexor, and it takes a little bit of extra yoga poses or therapeutic stretches to combat this muscle, because this particular muscle has 2 motions. It not only flexes the hip, but it also extends the knee. Sorry about that, guys. I knocked you off accidentally. Let's see if I can get us back there. There we are. So that rectus femoris, like I was saying, it also flexes the knee. So in order to stretch that hip flexor, you have to do a stretch of your hip and a stretch of your knee. The final hip flexor that we're going to tackle, and we're going to primarily tackle this one in standing today, is called your tensor fasciae lata. Now, those of you that have had any sort of knee pain in the past, you might have heard of that hip muscle because it attaches to your IT band. But it is unlike your other 3 muscles of your hip flexors because it does 2 additional movements that we're going to tackle in kneeling and in standing. The additional movements outside of flexing your hip that this particular muscle does is it actually rotates your hip. And then the final movement that this muscle does is it actually takes your entire leg and brings it out to the side. So there is your little anatomy lesson for the day on your hip flexors. I feel at this point you probably have a good idea that there's a lot of really important reason to stretch these 4 muscles, because we're doing a lot of sitting right now, and a lot of us might also be doing a lot of outdoor activity like gardening, where your hips are flexed, or cycling, where your hips are flexed. So we're going to take today to tackle all 4 of these muscles individually so that you have exercises and activities that you'll be able to do related to the activities that you're doing in your life right now, while we're all doing such an excellent job of self-distancing. So let's begin with our yoga class. So start please on your mat in standing. Have your feet hip width distance. So if you look at your big toes and you take your fist down to your big toes, it should be that your fist fit between your your big toes. That's hip distance. Once you have that, your leg bones and your shin bones should be able to line up with the center of your hip joints, which are a little bit more inside your pelvis than most people understand. Your hip joints are not all the way out to the outside. That's where our muscles are. So the idea is we just want vertical alignment straight down our legs. Now, once you're there, allow yourself to pick your toes up, and with your toes picked up, start to shift your weight side to side until you feel equal weight to the left to right of your feet. Then, with the toes still picked up, start to rock your weight forward. Imagine, if you would, it's kind of like you're starting to work on skiing downhill. So as you rock forward, you'll find that point where, boom, you have to put your toes down to catch your balance. When you figure out how far forward that is, then come back just a little bit of that so that you can get vertical alignment of your leg bones over your ankles. Allowing yourself to stay there will allow us to get alignment through our bodies in standing. Most of us tend to stand on our heels where our leg bones are actually angled backwards. All right, so now that you have side to side alignment, front to back alignment, the next thing I want you to focus on are your knees. So take a moment here to tighten your knees, understand what it feels like to hyperextend or get the most amount of extension of your knees, and then just soften them. That soft bend allows your leg bone and your shin bone to sit nicely on top of one another and not put tension into ligaments. Now take your hands to your pelvis, ladies and gentlemen. In this position now, what I want you to do is actively figure out, how do I tighten my abdominals to pull my tailbone under? And then how do I tighten my hip flexors and my back muscles to pull my pelvis further forward? So tucking under and then letting yourself let that tailbone lift up. Go through the motion of tucking under and tipping up and tucking under and tipping up, and then find the halfway position for you. Once you have that halfway position, check in that you didn't lock your knees, check in that you still feel the weight in the center of your ankles or the center of your feet, and you haven't taken the weight to the back of your heels again. Once you're there, let's all do this alignment of our rib cage together. So take your right hand, please, and lay it on the sternum of your chest, and take your left hand and lay it on your belly area. If you can imagine where your belly button is, kind of lay your hand just above your belly button. So in efficient alignment, what we should see from the side is that the hands stack perfectly on top of one another. Now, I all know that we have abdominal fat, but in reality, that abdominal fat should move downward into your pelvis, so those hands should still be fairly able to be aligned. For the majority of us, We normally stand with our chest hand, the right hand, behind our left hand. So let's do a really nice breathing technique to set our rib cage on top of our feet. So take a deep inhale in, lift your rib cage up, keep your weight in the center of your feet and hold your breath. And now just exhale as you look down to your feet. Keep your eyes gazing down to your feet. And now take that left hand that's on your belly and let your belly soften. Let it be nice and loose. Let yourself feel the fat moving around. Then take your left hand and place it on your right hand and hold your chest in that position. Check in that your knees are not lost or locked, or you've lost your pelvic position, or you've lost your foot position. And then holding your rib cage there, slowly lengthen your neck upward until you can bring your chin into your throat and lengthen the back of your neck. Now, if you're feeling a stretch through the front of your neck right now, that's good. But it does tell you that you have a forward neck or a forward head position normally. So what we're doing in standing today would be a really good activity for you to regularly do. Keeping your neck long and your chin gently tucked. Keeping your rib cage all the way over your pelvis, all the way over your leg bones, all the way over your ankles. Now gently let your arms come downward. What you're gonna find for the majority of us, it's kind of like our arms are dangling in front of us. So we need to take our arms and our shoulder blades and set them back on our rib cage. So let's all do our right arm together first. So with your right arm, gently shrug your shoulders slightly up. Take your thumb and rotate it to the back of the room, arm goes with it. Then pull your shoulder blade back and down your spine without your rib cage changing its position. And then just gently soften your arm. With the left arm, gently shrug the shoulder up, rotate the hand all the way to the back of the room, thumb goes backward, and then pull the shoulder blade down. Soften the arm, and now what you've got are arms right beside you, rib cage aligned with the pelvis. So that is just an easy way to find what we call in yoga Tadasana, which is standing alignment. So now that you've got that standing alignment, let's make even more alignment changes to your face. So take your tongue and rest your tongue in the roof of your mouth. Allow yourself then, if you want to gently close your eyes. We're going to stay here and do 4 slow, deep diaphragmatic breaths. So keeping yourself nice and sturdy, chair beside you if your balance is compromised. Take a nice deep inhale into your belly. And then as you exhale through the nose, slowly let the air come out. No forceful deep inhale or forceful deep exhale. Deep inhale into your belly. And then exhaling out. Inhaling in. And exhaling out. Let's do one next breath. Deep inhale in. And exhale out. Very nice. Opening your eyes, bringing your hands to the center of your heart. This is a mudra called Anjali in yoga, but essentially imagine your pinkies are touching, your ring fingers are touching, your middle fingers are touching, index fingers are touching, and your thumbs are touching. Gently take a moment to take your thumbs and place them right into your sternum bone. Take a second to drop them down so you're getting a little bit of a stretch in your wrists. Place a smile on your lips and your face. Take a nice deep inhale in, and on that exhale, say a blessing and a thank you, a gratitude for yourself joining us today. All right, let's start tackling those hip flexors, ladies and gentlemen. So take a deep inhale, lift your arms up. Exhale, bring your arms all the way down. Hands to heart. Inhale, lift the arms up. And then exhaling, bringing the arms all the way down. One last time, hands to heart. Inhaling up. And then exhaling, dropping the arms all the way down. All right, the first hip flexor we're going to tackle is that outside one that does hip flexion, does hip abduction, and does hip rotation. So what we're going to do with that muscle is to get that muscle in standing. Either bring your feet perfectly together so that your big toes are touching. If your balance is okay there, then what I want you to do is to try to challenge yourself a little bit more. We're going to stretch the right leg first. So can you take your left leg and cross it over your right leg so that your pinky toe on your left foot is lined up with the pinky toe on your right foot, or fairly similar to that position. Once you're there, take your hands to your pelvis and make sure that your pelvis is pointed forward. All right, chair should be on your left side so that if you need it for balance, you'll be able to hold it. In this position, hands to heart. Let's challenge our balance here, ladies and gentlemen. Nice deep inhale in and exhale out. If you have it in your balance, take an inhale, lift the arms up, and exhale and drop the arms down. Now feel free to hold on if you like to. Right arm only. Inhale that arm up. Exhale, pull your shoulder down and away from your ear. Now, with your pelvis, tuck your tailbone under and shear your pelvis to the right. Now reach the arm nice and high on the inhale, and on the exhale, lean over towards your chair. Now you should be feeling a nice little stretch to the outside of your hip. If you are not feeling that stretch, you lost that tuck of your tailbone. Allow yourself to tilt under and push that hip out. Holding that stretch, take a nice deep inhale, and then exhale. See if you can lean a little bit further, armpit, place it up towards the ceiling. One more breath, deep inhale in, exhale, push that hip out to the side, reach that rib cage up towards the ceiling, maybe even lean towards your chair. Can you feel the stretch all the way down towards the knee? From the armpit to the knee. Inhaling up and then exhaling the arm down. Uncrossing the legs. And if you need to, in the environment that you're practicing, move your chair or rotate your body, whichever is easier for you. And then let's repeat everything on this opposite side. All right, check in for a moment that your chair is close enough to you that you'll have it if you need it for balance. Options for your feet position. Number one, toes are together, but heels stay slightly apart so that your legs aren't too rotated outward. Option two, and this is the greater balance challenge. We're now going to stretch the left leg. So take your right leg, pick it up, and cross it in front of your left leg. Can you bring your toes so that your pinkies are as close to one another as possible? Once you have that position with your pelvis, turn your pelvis so that the pelvis is pointed forward again. Those of us with tight hip flexors, we're going to have our pelvis tilted all the way to the side of the room. Now that you're in that position, allow yourself to use your hamstrings and your abdominals. Take a deep inhale here, and on the exhale, tuck under so you start to get the opening of your hip flexors. All right, let's do one balance challenge. For those of you already feeling the balance challenge, feel free to hold onto the chair. Hands to heart for me. Take a nice deep inhale, lifting the arms all the way up, and then exhaling, coming down. Good balance challenge. Keeping the right hand now on the chair. With the left arm, inhale the arm up, exhale the shoulder blade down and away from your ear. Check in that your pelvis is pointed forward. Check in that your tailbone is tucked under. All right, let's give it a gusto. Deep inhale here. On the exhale, shear the hip to the left as you start to lean to the right. Take another deep inhale, really lengthen through the rib cage, and on the exhale, can you shear the hip further and side bend further? Now, armpit, can you pull that armpit up towards the ceiling to start to get the stretch through the abdominals and the side of your body? One more nice, good breath. Deep inhaling in, and then as you exhale, take it to where you feel comfortable and can still breathe. Can you get the stretch from your armpit all the way down towards your knee? Inhale the arm up, and then exhaling the arm down. Drop, uncrossing your legs, and now allowing yourself to move your chair so that you will be able to sit in the chair and see me on the screen. There we are. Now, in this position, what we're going to do next is tackle those hip flexors in a position on our chair that allows our hip to go into extension. So remember, these hip muscles do this motion. So what we're going to do in our chair is we're going to be working on that motion, but we can very easily do that motion and use our back instead of our hip. So I'm going to teach you a strategy today in the chair that's going to allow you to really focus on opening up through those hips. So find yourself sitting in the chair and then turn yourself in the chair so that your left leg, your foot is flat on the floor. You can sit back in the chair as much as you can without falling off the chair, of course, but make sure that your left leg is flat on the floor. Now, in this position, we're going to engage our abdominals, engage our spine before we move our right leg, so that we know we don't use our back to extend, we only use our hip to extend. So start to bring your leg into kind of like a downward position, like it would be a pendulum of a clock. And then take both of your hands and rest your hands onto your left leg. Now, just like you would be trying to push your left foot into the floor, start to weight bear your hands, kind of like if you were doing a CPR maneuver. Weight bear your hands down into your left leg and hold the weight of your arms and your trunk into your leg. Now, in this position, can you keep your back nice and straight and try to slide your leg all the way behind you? Keeping this position, don't let go of pushing down into your left leg. That engages your abdominals, it keeps your spine straight. Now, can you squeeze your gluteals and try to straighten your knee? Yes, you guys, you're doing kind of sort of warrior one today. Definitely crescent pose today. Now, keep straightening that knee. See if you can keep squeezing. You should be feeling a gentle opening through the front of your hip. Allow yourself here to take a deep inhale, and on the exhale, try to straighten and push that heel even further. Keep pushing into your left leg. 2 more breaths. Deep inhale in, and then on the exhale, straighten that knee and push that heel even further. 1 more time. Nice deep inhale in, and exhale, push that heel away, straighten that knee. Inhale, let the knee bend and bring the trunk back up to a neutral position. Now, if we were doing a traditional yoga class, that would be the position of crescent pose, and then you would bring yourself up into a backward bend. For those of you in this class, I want this to be about your hip flexors. So if you are an individual that has really tight hip flexors, this is where you want to stay if you're practicing in a more flow-based or a more advanced yoga class. All right, let's change to the opposite side. So gently allow yourself to rotate in your chair. Have it now that your right foot is resting on the floor and you're in your chair sideways. In this position, just gently allow your left leg to slide downward onto like a pendulum a little bit. It's just resting onto the floor. Now, let's engage through our trunk so we know this is all about our hip. So take both hands and rest both hands on your right leg. Again, imagine if you can, it's like you're pushing your foot even deeper into the floor than you can. Alignment-wise, the shoulders, the elbows, the knee, and the ankle are fairly much in alignment. Maintain this position. Keep pushing into that right leg, and now start to slide the left leg back. Only go to where you feel that gentle stretch through the front of the left leg. Keep pushing downward, using the abdominals to keep the trunk in a nice straight position. Now, let's really work on opening up through our hip flexors here. So take a nice deep inhale, and on the exhale, straighten the knee and push through the heel. Feel the opening through the front of that left hip. Deep inhale in, and on the exhale, straighten more, squeeze the glutes, push the heel away. One more time, deep inhale in, exhale, straightening the knee and pushing that heel away from you. Inhaling, softening the knee and bringing your trunk back up into a seated position. All right, now let's take it down to the floor. So here's what I want you to do. Just move your chair away from you so that it's no longer in the way of your yoga mat. We will be beginning in hands and knees, and we're still going to be doing an exercise in kneeling. So if you know kneeling for you, where you're going to be resting your weight on one knee, is still a balance challenge, keep your chair somewhere near your mat. All right, hopefully all of you have made it down to your mat. We're going to do a couple of cat-cows here and immediately resume working on these hip flexors. So we haven't done too much to open up our spine yet. So let's start with just one quick round of 2 breaths of cat-cows into a child's pose. So let's find hands and knees. Same idea with your knees, 2 fist width between your knees for alignment of your hips. And then look back so that you can see that your ankles and your heels line perfectly up with your knees, your hips stack directly on top of your knees. Walk your hands forward so that your elbows and your wrists stack underneath your shoulders. Lengthen your neck, settle your chin into your throat, and gaze downward between your hands. Check in that your elbows are soft and you don't have them locked or hyperextended. And then in this position, let's begin cat-cows. So take an inhale and sink your belly down, sink your spine, lift your tailbone, shoulder blades back, lengthen the front of the neck and look upward. And then as you exhale, pull that belly in, arch through the back, tuck the tailbone, spread the shoulder blades, lengthen the back of the neck and bring that chest into your throat. Inhale, sinking everything down, lengthening the neck, finally looking upward. And then exhaling, curling everything under. Get that chin all the way to the chest. Look to your belly button this time, or all the way between your knees. Stay up in your angry cat pose, and then slowly allow yourself to push into child's pose. So as you push into child's pose, settle your hips or your sit bones towards your heels. Allow your tailbone to stay flexed. Gently settle your rib cage towards your knees. Gently settle the crown of your head where your hairline meets towards the floor. Gaze is inward towards your belly button or your toes, and then just soften your elbows. Now staying there, we're going to go through just a few nice deep diaphragmatic breaths just to open up a little bit of this low back before we continue tackling these hip flexors. So take a nice deep inhale here, and then exhaling outward. Deep inhale into the belly. And exhale. And one more breath. Deep inhale in. And exhale. Slowly walking back up onto your hands and knees. And we're going to be moving to kneeling and kneeling onto our right knee. Now, depending on where your yoga mat is, if you've got a sensitive knee, you've got several options to kind of support that knee. Option one, obviously, double or triple your yoga mat to give yourself more padding. Option two, you can take a towel or something and roll it up. As you roll it up, yoga straps work even nicely as well. You're going to make a donut with it. As you make that donut, you can rest that donut underneath your knee to desensitize the nerves around your kneecap. So up to you which way you'd like to do it, but have yourself so that your knees are a little bit softly protected if they're sensitive. And then bring your left leg up so that you're in a half kneeling position. All right, now let's talk through this. Remember, there are 4 hip flexors. This position is the best position to tackle all 4 of them. I'm going to show you how to do it 2 different ways, and we're going to really add breath and really add length to our rib cage while we do that. So let's go through the alignment of this. Check in that your foot and your ankle line up with your knee. Check in that your hip lines up with your knee vertically. Make sure that your pelvis is pointed straight forward towards your left knee. And make sure that your left foot is far enough away from you that you feel like it's aiding in your balance. So oftentimes if your foot is too narrow to your right foot, you might feel a little bit off centered. So bring the foot enough out to the side that you feel comfortable. A chair or a chair will help you with your balance if you need it. Now in this position, to start to tackle all 4 hip flexors, it's very simple. Take an inhale and on the exhale, tuck the tailbone under. Get as much of a stretch through the front of your hip as you can. Once you have that, take your right arm, inhale your arm upward, and as you exhale, gently side bend a little bit so that we can focus on a little bit of trunk side bending. One of the additional movements of that psoas muscle is it does create a little bit of a side bend. So as we side bend away, we further lengthen that one hip flexor. Holding yourself here, take a deep inhale, exhale, tuck a little harder. One more time, take an inhale, lift the rib cage up, exhale, side bend a little further. Inhale the arm back up and then exhale, dropping it down. Now, maintain yourself in the same position, ladies and gentlemen. But now what I want us to do is to tackle that outside hip flexor. So like I told you, this position, it gets all 4 of them. But if we want to tackle that one and that one specifically, here's what you need to do. Take your foot and turn your foot to the inside. So line your foot up so that it is lined up with your left foot. From the side, what that looks like is that. So see if you can allow your leg bone to rotate outward. Remember that muscle when you watch the video, it also does rotation inward. So we're just trying to combat that rotation inward. Now in this position, you've got the outward rotation. Make sure your pelvis didn't go with you. So pull your pelvis back to the center. Take a deep inhale and on the exhale, tuck your tailbone under. Oh boy, I hope you feel the stretch I do. Keep that tailbone tucked under, really engage through those abdominals. All right, if you've got it in you, let's add the side bend. Take a deep inhale, lift the Arm up on the right side, and then exhale, side bend to the left. Now you're doing 3 things, so if you can do all 3 and breathe, go for it. So take that deep inhale, and on the exhale, tuck that tailbone under, and then take another deep inhale, lift the rib cage, and on the exhale, side bend to the left. Hold it here. 1 more. Deep inhale into the belly, and exhale out. Beautiful. Inhale the right arm up if you have it up, exhaling it down. Right leg unrotated so that you've got your alignment again. Take your left leg, bring it back onto hands and knees, and let's go into a child's pose just to give our legs a little bit of a break. So try it for kneeling for me, ladies and gentlemen. So in this position, take an inhale, arch everything up, and then as you exhale, tuck your tailbone under, sit yourself back, curl yourself down, crown of the head to the mat, dropping your elbows down. Can you look back and see that your feet line up with your knees? Holding yourself here. Take a nice deep inhale into your belly, and then exhaling out. 2 more breaths. Deep inhale into your belly, and then exhaling out. And deep inhale into your belly, and exhaling outward. Slowly bringing yourself up from your child's pose. Going to everything on the opposite side now. So bringing yourself up onto knees, and then taking your right leg and bringing your right leg forward as your left leg is backwards. In this position, check in behind you that your left foot lines up with your left knee, your left hip lines up with your knee as well. Right foot is far enough forward that you feel like you've got balance, and it's not so narrow that you feel like your balance is challenged. Starting in the neutral position first to tackle all 4 hip flexors. Take that deep inhale, and on the exhale, tuck the tailbone under. As you tuck the tailbone under, feel the immediate stretch to the front of the left thigh. Keeping that nice tuck as you keep those abdominals engaged. Inhale, lift that left arm up, and as you exhale, side bend over to kind of get a little bit more length in that psoas muscle that also has a little bit of a roll in side bending. Holding here, inhale, lift the rib cage higher, exhale, side bend more. Keep that tailbone tucked under, keep the stretch to the front of the hip. 1 diaphragmatic breath here for me, please. Nice deep inhaling in and exhaling out. Beautiful. Left arm, inhale it up, and then exhale the arm down. All right, so just like we did on that right side, let's specifically tackle that outside hip flexor, that tensor fascia lata. So in order to do that, we have to rotate our leg bone. The easy way to do that, like I said, just turn your foot inwards so that it is lining up with your left leg. From the side, what that looks like is I am just turning my leg bone and my foot inward. Some of you might even find you have a little bit of better balance when you actually do that position. Once you are there, maintain that rotation as long as there's no pain happening to your hip. Take that deep inhale, and on the exhale, tuck that tailbone nice and firmly under, and really feel how that stretch now, really feel how that stretch is focusing more to a little bit of the outside of the hip. Maintaining that abdominal tuck, adding the side bend if you have it in your balance. Taking a nice deep inhale, lifting the arm up, and on the exhale, side bending over to your right. The tuck is the most important part, so if you lose that side bending, just focus on the tuck and your breathing. Nice deep inhale, lifting the rib cage up, exhaling, tucking under more. Inhale, lifting high, exhaling, side bending more. All right, 1 deep diaphragmatic breath for me. Nice deep inhale here, and exhale. Inhale the left arm up and exhale it down, and then unrotate that leg. All right, last time in child's pose before we make it down to our belly. So try it here. See if you can really use the abdominal control and the quadricep control to settle yourself back into a child's pose from kneeling. So take an inhale, and then as you exhale, tuck the tailbone under, settle down to your knees, set the rib cage down onto the knees. Drop the crown of the head. Rest yourself into your child's pose. Take the opportunity here to breathe. So a nice deep inhale into your belly. Exhaling outward. Deep inhale in and out. Make this one count the most, guys. Take as deep of an inhale into your pelvic floor as you can, and then just passively let that air go out. All right, time to make it down onto our belly now. So here's the deal. If you've got your mat doubled up for your knees, go ahead and undouble your mat. Allow yourself, before you get down onto your belly, to make sure that you are lasso ready. So whether it's a yoga strap you're using or a belt, allow yourself to lasso yourself before you go down onto your belly. So simply take your lasso and strap it around your right foot for me. Strap it around your right foot. Once you have done that, you're ready to make it down to the floor. So allow yourself to come down onto your belly as you hold your belt or your strap. If it is a belt, you might need to bend your knee up immediately if the belt is a little small. But allow yourself to hold the belt with your right hand as you are letting your right knee bend. If you have a sensitive spine, and extension is something that does not work for you, simply place a pillow right now underneath your belly so that it supports your lumbar spine in a little bit more of a neutral position. All right, let's get to work. Now what I would like you guys to do is with your left arm, rest your arm down so that you can drop your head downward towards the floor. I'm gonna keep my head lifted just so that I am nice and clear to you guys with audio. So start with your knees, please. Take a nice deep inhale here, and on the exhale, squeeze your knees together as tightly as you can. Now, with your strap and your right leg, take an inhale, and on an exhale, pull your heel towards your right bottom. Only go to where you start to feel a light stretch in your right thigh. No pain in your kneecap, no pain in your knee joint. If you have either of those, ease up on the knee bend. We're not trying to irritate a knee joint, we're trying to open up your hips. So you figure out where is comfortable for you. Now, as your heel is to your butt, make sure that you didn't let go of squeezing your thighs together. Now, here's the important part. Focus on your pelvis, take a nice deep inhale, and on the exhale, tuck the tailbone under and feel that stretch in your right thigh. Take a deep inhale here. Exhale, squeeze the knees together, take another deep inhale. Exhale, tuck that tailbone under, hold everything, ladies and gentlemen, take a deep diaphragmatic breath, and exhale it out. And then slowly on the inhale, straighten the knee a little tiny bit. Release the pelvic tilt, release the ankles, and then release the thighs away from one another. Now, depending on how savvy you are with the yoga strap, you might be able to figure out how to hook the foot into the strap and simply change the loop from the right foot to the left foot. Sometimes it's easy, like I'm doing right now. I've got 2 feet in that strap, and now all I'm gonna do is slide my right foot out, and now the strap is around my left foot, and I've never had to move positions. Once you do that, take the strap move it over so that now it's in your left hand. If you had to get up to get your strap, that is fine. I will wait for you to get back down onto your belly. All right. I think this is a good amount of time. So let's go ahead and begin. So allow ourselves to start with the knee just slightly bent. Don't pull it to your bottom yet. Focus on the two legs together. Take a deep inhale, and on the exhale, squeeze the knees into one another. Keep those thighs so tight together that you're really going to feel that outer hip flexor. Now gently take a nice deep inhale, and on the exhale, start to pull the left heel to your bottom. Make sure as you pull your heel to your bottom, you did not let go of squeezing those thighs together. Finally, and most important, take your pelvis. Take a deep inhale, and on the exhale, tuck that tailbone under. Yes, that is that rectus femoris, that knee bender, that knee straightener, and that hip flexor. Keeping yourself here, take a deep inhale, and on the exhale, squeeze the knees together. Deep inhale, on the exhale, tuck that tailbone under, create tension, not pain. Don't pay attention to my face. Take a deep inhale into your belly here. And exhaling out. Inhaling slowly, allowing yourself to let your knees straighten on the left side. Now, if you can slide the strap off your left foot, you can. We are done with the strap, but don't jump up from this position. We've done a lot, and I mean a lot, to open up your hip flexors very specifically today. So let's stay on your belly for a quick moment just to work on training and strengthening the opposite muscle of our hip flexor, which are our gluteus muscles. So allow your feet now to be hip distance apart. I know you can't take your two fists and put them between your ankles right now, but imagine if you could that they're about hip distance apart. In this position, allow yourself to rest your head down so that you're not in a lot of extension through your neck. From here, take a nice deep inhale, and on the exhale, just gently tuck your tailbone under so that you create some length through your lumbar spine. Let's begin with our right foot. Simply turn your toes under so that your knee is slightly bent and your toes are turned under, touching your mat. Now, without losing that gentle tuck of the pelvis, can you take an inhale and straighten your knee? Beautiful. Holding your knee straight, squeezing your abdominals tight, tightening through your gluteals. Can you take another inhale and just point your toes away and hold that leg off the floor? Taking a deep inhale here and an exhale here. Two more breaths. Deep inhale here and exhale here. One more breath. Deep inhale here and exhale here. Taking a deep inhale, exhaling, dropping the foot back to the floor. Very nice. Let's recreate that on the opposite side, on the left side. So first and foremost, allow yourself to get some space in your lumbar spine. So take a deep inhale, and on the exhale, gently tuck the tailbone under. Keeping the tailbone softly tucked under, allow yourself now to turn the toes under on the left foot as the left knee slightly bends. Keeping the pelvis gently in neutral so you're engaging those lower abdominals and tucking it under. Now from here, take an inhale and slowly straighten your left knee. That might be enough extension for you to not be able to do the next step, and if so, you can stay right here. But if you have it in you, hold this position here. Keep those abdominals engaged, squeeze those glutes, and can you take an inhale and point your toe away? That's it. Exhale here. Keep everything squeezed. You might even be shaking like I am. Inhaling here. Exhaling here. Very nice, you guys. One more time. Deep inhale in. And exhaling, dropping that leg down. Beautiful. Now, slowly making our way back to child's pose to transition onto our backs. So walk your hands underneath your shoulders. Allow yourself to keep your head as close to the mat as you can, and start with tucking your tailbone under first so that you don't create a lot of extension through your low back. Once you're there, just gently drop the crown of your head to the floor, rest your elbows down, and take a moment here to take 2 deep inhales and exhales into your belly. Nice, slow, deep inhale in and exhale out. Deep inhale in and exhale out. All right, transition onto our backs safely for our back and our spine. Bring yourself up onto hands and knees. Turn yourself onto your left or your right side, and then gently allow yourself to start on your side and roll yourself down onto your side and roll yourself to your back. Nice and simple, no compression of discs of our spine, the easiest and the safest way to do it. Okay, now from here, we're going to do one last opening of our hips. So if everything we've done so far has been very difficult for you, this is the easiest way to open up through the hip flexors. Simply done laying down on your back. So let's begin with taking our right knee to our chest. Take a nice deep inhale, and then on the exhale, pull your knee into your chest. Beautiful. Just rest that right leg there. We're going to focus on this left hip flexor first. So take a deep inhale here, and on the exhale, slide the leg down the mat. Now, the leg right now should be straight. We want to add to that. So what I now want you to do with your left leg that is straight down the mat is I want you to take that left leg and slide it over to the right side of the mat. Once it is over to the right side of the mat, point your toes up on the right foot so that you've got your glute engaged. Point your foot up on your left, so that you've got your glute engaged. You can keep your toes up on your right as well as you want. Very nice. Now in this position, lengthen your neck, settle your chin to your throat, maybe even check in that your tongue is resting on the roof of your mouth. Keeping your right knee to your chest, we're not focusing on that today, we're focusing on this left hip flexor. So can you take an inhale and push the entire left leg down onto the floor? And then as you exhale, just let the muscles go of that left leg. 2 more times, left leg. Inhale, push it down on the floor. Feel your glutes engage. You might even lift your back a little bit. And then as you exhale, let that go. One last time to open up through these left hip flexors. Nice deep inhale, push the left leg down, engage all the muscles as you open up through the hip, and exhale, relax. Beautiful, slide the left leg back to neutral and then slide the foot up so that the foot is flat on the floor, and then release your right foot down to the floor. Repeating all of that on the left side now, taking your left knee to your chest. Take a deep inhale here, and then on the exhale, pull your knee into your chest. Now, with the right leg, take an inhale, and on the exhale, slide the right leg straight down the mat. All right, now we want to make sure that we get all 4 of these hip flexors. We're going to now slide the right leg over to the left corner of the mat. So once you've done that, make sure that there's not any rotation of your trunk. You still feel both of your butt muscles on the mat, and you're just gently holding your left knee to your chest. All right, with the right foot, point the toes up so that you already feel the engagement through your quadricep. You can do the same thing on your left if you like. Let's go through the 3 breaths to open up through the front of the right hip now. So take an inhale and push the right leg down into the ground. And then as you exhale, slowly let that go. Inhaling, pushing that right leg down into the ground, using those glutes to relax through the hip flexors. Exhale, letting it go. One more time. Inhaling, pushing that right leg down into the ground as hard as you can. And then exhaling, letting it go. Very nice. Sliding the right leg back over to the center, and then sliding the right foot up, releasing the left foot to the floor. Moving your pelvis around if you feel that you did rotate or shift anywhere on your mat. Let's take one little second here to open up through our hamstrings. A lot of us that have weak abdominals, as we've done a lot of pelvic tilting today, you may have accidentally used a little bit too much hamstring to kind of take up for weak abdominals. So let's take a moment to just open up those hamstrings real quickly. So take your right knee, please. Take it to your chest. Take a nice deep inhale. And on your exhale, pull your knee in. Left leg, simply slide it down the mat. Take your hands now to the underside of your right leg. Take one more deep inhale and exhale. Pull that knee nice and deep into your chest. Toes up on both feet. Let's see if we can really get a little bit of opening through our hamstring on the right and our sciatic nerve. Now, incidentally, with your left leg, go ahead and engage it and push it down into the floor so you are continuing to open up through those hip flexors on the left side. Lengthen your neck, settle your chin, please. Gently inhale and start to lift the right leg up. And then as you exhale, let it come down. Toes are up, inhaling, straightening the knee. Exhaling, relaxing the knee. Inhaling, straightening the knee. And relaxing, bending the knee. 2 more times. Inhaling, straightening the knee. Relaxing and bending the knee. And inhaling, straightening the knee, and relaxing, bending the knee. Maintaining, holding the right knee to the chest. Take your left leg and slide it up the mat. When your foot is flat, release your right foot to the floor. Take your left knee to your chest. Take a deep inhale here and exhale, pull it on in. And then with the right leg, slide it straight down the mat. Now take your hands and go to the underside of that left knee. Take a nice deep inhale here, and on the exhale, pull that left knee nice and tight into your chest. Incidentally, just like the other side, if you engage your right leg down into the floor so you feel your gluteals, you will continue to open up through those right hip flexors. All right, lengthen your neck, settle your chin, tongue to the roof of your mouth, toes up. Let's work through the left hamstring here. Take an inhale and straighten that knee. Exhaling and relaxing. 4 more times, just like we did on the right. Engage the right leg, ladies and gentlemen. Inhaling, straightening the left. Exhaling and relaxing. Keep the knee to your chest. Inhaling and straightening. Exhaling and relaxing. Inhaling and straightening. Exhaling and relaxing. 1 more time. Nice deep inhale as you straighten. Exhaling as you relax. With your right leg, slide it back up the mat. With your left leg, release your foot to the floor. All right, we have done lots of work to open up through our hips today. Hopefully most of you, when you leave today's class, you go for a nice 10 or 15-minute walk to take all of that opening you've done and make dramatic changes for your body. What I encourage you not to do is to finish today's yoga class, which we're about to do, and then get yourself up off your yoga mat and sit right back down in front of your computer. So let's complete our class today with our savasana. With our trunk rotation and then savasana. So please take your left leg down the mat and take your right foot and place it up over your left thigh. Take your left hand, reach for your right knee, and allow your right arm to go out to the side of your body. Take a nice deep inhale here, and on the exhale, let the knee come across your body. Let your pelvis lift. Let your spine lift. Let your rib cage lift, but maintain your right shoulder blade on the floor. Lengthen your neck and settle your chin, and then gently turn your gaze towards your right thumb. Take a nice deep inhale here, and exhale. One more, good deep inhale. Get it as deep in your belly as you can, and exhaling out. Slowly bringing your head back to the center, starting at that right rib cage. Can you bring just your right rib cage down first, followed by your low back? Yep, that's abdominals you feel firing, that's right. Followed by your pelvis, and then unrotate your hip. Place your right foot on the floor, slide your left leg up, allow your right leg to come down on the floor, allow your left foot to come to your right thigh. From here, right hand comes up and grabs the left knee, left hand out to the side of your body. Gently start with an inhale, and then on an exhale, slowly bring the left knee across your body. Let the pelvis lift first, followed by the low back, followed by the rib cage, but keep that left shoulder blade on the floor. Then gently lengthen your neck, settle your chin, and slowly rotate your head to gaze at your left thumb. Taking a nice deep inhale into your belly, and then exhaling out. Deep inhale into your belly, and then exhaling out. Then very slowly from here, bringing your head back to the center. Then starting with that left rib cage first, gently bring just the left rib cage down. Your spinal muscles and your abdominals do this, followed by your low back, followed by your pelvis, and then let the left knee come up. Rest the left foot on the floor, slide the right leg up. Take a moment here to kind of move your pelvis around. Make sure you feel like you've got ample space for your low back to rest gently. And then allow yourself to make sure that your shoulder blades are resting underneath you. When you're ready, slight contraction of your abdominals. Gently slide your right leg down to the right corner of your mat. Slide your left leg down to the left corner of your mat. Rest yourself here, lengthen your neck and settle your chin. Allow your tongue to rest to the roof of your mouth. Allow your eyelids to gently close. Allow your eyes to relax in the sockets of your eyes. And more importantly, now allow your face to soften. Just gently let your body be still. Let it take in all of the changes that you have done to it. Take a moment as you're resting here to merely feel where you inhale. Is it to your throat? Is it to your chest? Or can you feel every gentle breath you take right to your diaphragm and your belly? Without taking deep inhales and deep exhales, just take this moment to pay attention to the breath. Focus on your inhale. And as you focus on your inhale, can you just gently feel where that breath moves to? When your mind wanders, and it will, thinking what's next in life, is Trudy still there on the computer screen? What am I going to do with the rest of my day? Please just accept these thoughts, ladies and gentlemen, and go back to feeling that inhale. Merely come into the body awareness of where your breath moves. Observe your breath for just one more minute. Now slowly start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. And when you're ready, go ahead and gently slide one leg up, followed by the other. And maybe in the next breath, slowly allow yourself to gently roll to the left or right side. Staying here just for a moment, maybe a solid inhale, a solid exhale. And then when you feel like you're ready, on the next exhale, using your top arm, pushing yourself up into a seated position. Finding yourself making it to a seated pose, just for a few moments. Resting here, hands are to our heart, and smiles are on our face. Taking a nice deep inhale in, and exhaling out. Namaste. The highest in me salutes the highest in you.